All right, welcome Salesforce passionate and friends to the Salesforce Brewery by 30. Today, last session we did up to question number 40. Today we would hop on to the question number 41. Let's begin our journey together. The administrator has been asked to automate a simple field update on account. Simple field update on account when a support agent changes the status of the account to audited. When the account status changes to audited, they would like the system to automatically update the audited field on the account with the date today. Which tool should the administrator use to complete this automation? So, repeating the question again, we will try to understand together. So, administrator has been asked to automate a simple field update on the account. So, account has a field and they need to update the field for the condition that when the status of the account changes to audited, they would like the system to automatically update the audited field on the account with the date today. When the status changes, update the audited field of the account with the today's date. Which tool should an administrator use to complete this information? So I believe, for anything which we want to automate, to update the record or the field by create flow is the best way. So the answer is flow. Automation work will do on behalf of an user. So flow is an answer. I can quickly take you to the trailhead here. While this is loading, it loaded. So the flow builder. This is a great read. It talks about flow, whether they are buying a movie ticket, paying bill, or changing restaurant reservation. When a customer interacts with a company, they expect a seamless and personalized experience. Flow builder is a way to go. Let's take a quick tour of the flow builder. So, we have multiple kind of an flow, and it talks about record trigger flow, screen flow, automation flow, and everything. So this is a great way to recognize and identify what flow does. So there is number one, it's a button bar. We can select our auto layout. Number two is a toolbox. So two is a toolbox. We want to use action. We want to use out of box. So basically it's a resource. Number three is Canva. So three, it's a whole, it's a very interactive pictorial flow. Number four is in start element. So we start our flow from here. If you want to do record trigger flow, intel, screen flow, or platform event trigger flows. Number five is here. It creates a record. Number six is zoom button bar. So it's a zoom button bar if you want to zoom in or zoom out. And flow builder key shortcuts. So zoom in, command option plus plus, command option plus minus. This is a great quick overview. Now let's go back to one more thing which I wanted to show it to you all. I believe most of us know about it. If you would just jump couple seconds ahead in this video, for those who want to take a quick sneak peek about what all is available in Salesforce help articles, there would be tons, but a quick overview. Stay here. Let's do a quick overview of the flow concept. So building block of the flow. Use a combination of elements, connector, and resource to build a flow. Triggers for the auto launch flow. In the start element of an auto launch flow, you can specify a trigger that launches a flow. We could specify a trigger. We could specify Apex action or any trigger we would like to. Let's quickly search for types of flow. So we have multiple type of inflow here: screen flow, auto launch flow with no trigger. What I'm talking about is when we click onto the new flow, we see screen flow, record trigger flow, schedule trigger flow, platform event trigger flow, auto launch flow, record trigger flow. For the trigger, we have record trigger flow, schedule trigger flow, record trigger orchestrion, and platform event trigger flow. And then we have screen flow and then auto launch flow. What does that mean? Screen flow requires user interaction because it includes screens, local action, steps, choices, and dynamic choices. Screen flow don't support pause element. So this requires a user interaction. Auto launch flow, um, it totally depends on the flow action. Like, screen flow, when the user clicks on here, make sure that we trigger the screen flow. Auto launch flow with no trigger doesn't require user interaction. This flow type doesn't support screens, local action, choices, or the choices set. This one is like when the user selects maybe fruit from the pick list value set, fill up all the favorite fruit field for that user, something like that. Bad example. All right, so auto launch flow with no flow trigger doesn't require user interaction. It's pure process based. Auto launch flow with the schedule trigger runs only from a schedule. This type of flow doesn't support user interaction. Screen, it doesn't. It's a scheduled flow. Auto launch flow with a record trigger. With no record trigger, remember, with a record trigger, makes before save updates on to the new or change record that launches the flow. So this is like, when I create a record, and if the field is changed, field specified in the flow, and when I click on the save, trigger a flow, auto launch the flow. Recommendation and strategy: build a personalized list of the recommendation for the user. So these are kind of a quick overview. Orchestra, used by flow orchestra to create an orchestrion. Orchestrion is series of the stage made up of the step. Interactive step contains a screen flow and require evaluation flow. So platform event, a process create a process created in a process builder that starts when a particular platform event message is received. So these are kind of in flow, and then again there are a bunch of the YouTube articles. Thank you for staying with me. I just wanted to show you what we have in the Salesforce help articles. Moving on to the next question, number 42. Ursa Major Solar offers amazing experience for all of its employees. Employee Engagement Committee wants to post updates while restricting other employees from posting. The committee wants to post but restrict the other from posting. What should the administrator create to meet this request? Chatter stream, everyone can post. Chatter broadcast group, only owners can post, others can comment on the post. Chatter recommendations and chatter unlisted group. Chatter broadcast group, only owners can post and others can comment on the post. It's exactly like a viewer setting on it's a viewer setting on the Google Docs. It's exactly something similar to that. All right, Chatter provides recommendation to help you identify the people, group of people, and records that closely relate to your job and interest. Broadcast groups are special type of an public, private, or unlisted group where only group owners and manager can post to the group. Group members can read, post, and comment on them. Broadcast group. So if you see, there are huge chatterers, um, create chatter group from the processes. We could also create a chatter group from processes. So this is a good Good segue. So, but here to answer this question, it's a broadcast group. Let's go ahead and quickly take a sneak peek here. So, broadcast group is are the special type of a public, private, or unlisted group. We don't have to be public group, private group, or unlisted group. We can list our own fly, where only group of the owner and manager can post to the group. Group members can read the post and comment on them. So how do we create a broadcast group? So creating a broadcast group are ideal when limited and consistent set of an individual must regularly communicate with a large group of people. Some example includes organization-wide update from the executive leadership in the company, policy change from your company's HR department, event update from an organization of a large event or the company conference, important action alert from key IT personnel, including their awesome Salesforce administrator. Broadcast group setting in Salesforce Classic. So, this is how you could set up your broadcast only group setting. Moving on to our next question, which is number 23. A VP of sales at Kicks is receiving an error message that prevent them from saving an opportunity. The administrator attempted the same edit without receiving an error. How can an administrator validate the error the user is receiving? So VP is receiving an error, administrator was able to save it. So sharing model deals with security and sharing setting of the data amongst the user or a group of the user in the organization. So how could you check if that is happening to that user? So best way is that you go to the user, for example. So there must be another button here which is login as. So when you see that login as button, you could log in as VP and perform what errors he was seeing. So the answer is C. We can go ahead and logging in as another user. To troubleshoot user issue, as an admin, we could always log in as. From the setup, go to the user, click the login link next to the username. This link is available only for the user who have granted the login access to admin or in the org where admin can log in. You can't grant login access to other admin on behalf of the user you are logged in as. So you must grant a login access and also make sure that you log in as that user and then log out. So to debug any issues, we could always log in as that user and make sure that what error that user is finding, and we could perform any show no show or a debug resolution steps accordingly. CloudGeeks wants to update a screen flow so that if the checkbox field high value customer is set to true, the first screen is skipped and the user is directed to the second. How should an administrator configure the decision element? So they just want to do this, that if the checkbox field is set to high customer value, then skip the first screen and move to the second. How should customer a field high value customer, skip the first field and move to the second? Use the equal operator and global constant is equal to true. So remember that here the checkbox field is set to true. So that means we could use global constant and it starts with exclamation and then dollar sign. I usually remember this is that, life is an exclamation and dollar is the value. So exclamation and dollar sign and then global constant is true as in a value. So when the equal operator set to this value, then administrators should configure this as a decision element on the flow. Moving on to the next question, the support manager at the Cloud Kicks wants to respond to customer as quickly as possible. They have requested that the response include the top 5 troubleshooting tips that could help solve the customer issue. Troubleshooting tips. What should the administrator suggest to meet this requirement? We could have seen many times when we call the customer services and there is an automated response about the troubleshooting tips. So how could this be achieved? So it is an auto response rule. So auto response rule could help auto response rules lead auto response rule. So we could set up an auto response rule here. For example, we just talked about the case management that, hey, when this type of an customer service gets this kind of a question, make sure that so you send out this auto response messages. So there is also a trailhead for that one. We can quickly take a sneak peek at this trailhead while it is loading. Set up an auto response rule. So usually auto response rule lets you automatically send an email response to lead or case submission based on the record attribute. Record attribute meaning record field. For example, you can send an automatic reply to customer to let them know someone at your company received this inquiry. Create an auto response rule for lead captured through web to lead. So we have web to lead. And for the case submitted through this, so we can have self-service portal, customer portal, web to case, email to case, on-demand email to case. Remember, web to case, email to case, and web to lead. This case will auto response rules when the case auto response rules are also available in essential editions. Create as many auto response rule you would like. Click on the create auto response rule. Click on the new, enter the rule name, entry active. We have already reviewed this in previous sections. Moving on to the next question, which is number 46. The administrator at the Cloud Kicks has been asked to change the company's shoe style field to prevent user from selecting more than one style on a record. Which two steps should an administrator do to accomplish this? Choose two answers. Reactivate the appropriate shoe style values after the field changes. Select a choose only one value checkbox on the pick list field. Back up the shoe style value in the existing record. So first of all, we need to back up, because if the user has chose two styles and when we restrict it to the one style, the data loss may occur. So one, we need to back up that records. This is a good idea, but for to address this particular thing, we would need to do two things. One is select the choose only one value checkbox on the pick list field. Choose only one. And then answer is change the field type from multi-select pick list to a pick list field. So we have a field type object manager. Let's go case. So if you see, we have and we have the pick list and the multi-select pick list. So it's talking about we could restrict from the multi-select to have an ability to select multiple pills. Instead of that, just have them select one. So that CloudCake wants to give a credit to opportunity team members based on level of effort contributed by each person towards each team. What feature should administrator use to meet this requirement? They wanna give a credit based on the level of an efforts they did towards the deal. So the feature is splits. If your Salesforce admin has enabled opportunity splits, you can split credit for an opportunity among member of an opportunity team. There could be a huge team who would close the deal, but now we want to have the contribution split. So if the Salesforce admin has enabled opportunity splits, you can split credit for an opportunity among member of an opportunity team. Share revenue from opportunities, and give team member credit for helping to close the deal. Share revenue from the opportunities and give team member credit for helping to close the deal. Sell as a team and split the credit. So learning objective, sell as a team. So add opportunity team members. So first of all, we need to select and have an opportunity team member selected. Then split credit for an opportunity. So we could split and to split a credit, we could, once the member is added opportunity splits, and we can add the member here, and we can decide the percentages here. And this way, when when the opportunity split occurs, we have the split done accordingly. Moving on to the next question, number 48. User at the CloudCakes wants to be able to create a task that will repeat every 2 weeks. What should an administrator do to meet the requirement? A task that will repeat every 2 weeks. A task that will repeat every 2 weeks. What should administrator do? So to create a recurring flow, enable creation of a recurring task, a workflow rule, or recurring activities. So the answer is enable creation of a recurring task. It's talking about task, and hence enable recurring task, creation of a recurring task. So enable recurring task in the Salesforce. From the setup, enter activity settings. So we go to the setup, activity settings, and on the activity setting we have enable creation of a recurring task. So just do this, enable creation of a recurring task and click submit. Enable creation of recurring task and click submit. Enable creation of recurring task and click submit. Moving on to the number 49. Ursa Major Solar uses opportunity to track sales of a solar energy product. The company has two separate sales teams that focuses on different energy market. The service team also wants to use to track installation. All three teams will need to use different field and stages. How should administrator configure this requirement? So there are three teams. They will use same field but at the different time. They will use the same stages but at the different time. Because they have the two separate teams that focus on two different energy market. How could this be created? Create 3 sales processes and create 3 record type and 1 page layout. Create 1 sales process, create 3 record type and 3 page layout. Create 3 sales process, create 3 record types and 3 page layout. Create 1 sales process, create 1 record type and 3 page layout. So the answer is we need to create 3 sales processes, create 3 record types and 3 page layout. When record type A is selected, go to page layout A. When record type B is selected, go to page layout B. And when record type C is selected, go to page layout C. So the answer is sales process is set often important steps that your sales team can follow to complete the sales cycle. And we can see here. All right, so here set up your organization presentation on the Ursa Major Solar. So Ursa Major Solar, this is an Ursa Major Solar. They want to set up the three sales process. So what they can do is that they would go from an object manager configuration, create object, they would create a energy audit object. So the answer here is that create one sales process. Now create a custom tab. They will create a custom tab, and then they will create some custom field. They will create some custom field, and then they will create this a custom field will have in logs entered, and that's about it. So it talks about, like, the sales process is set as an important step that your sales team can follow to complete the sales cycle. And here they would need three sales processes, three record types, and three page layout. CloudCake wants to only be able to choose opportunity stage closed won if the lead source has been selected. If the lead source has been selected, make sure lead source a dependent pick list to the opportunity stage fill. Configuration, configure a validation rule running lead source when the stage is set to close close to one, because when the stage is set to closed one, make sure that we have a lead source as a require field. So set how can administrators set up, so they could configure a validation rule such that, like that. All right, so we will continue in our next session, number 51 to 60. Stay tuned, and we will ace and aim to get the administration together, certification together.